What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a few safeties who could replace Julian Love in this upcoming 2023 NFL Draft. Now, if you didn't know, New York Giants starting safety, team captain Julian Love, he did leave this offseason. He just signed a new 2-year, $12 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks. This is a big loss for the New York Giants, in my opinion. I mean, I know that there were some fans who were a little lukewarm on Julian Love, thought that he wasn't as impactful of a player as others had. And I disagreed with that because I thought he did a lot for the locker room. And I think that's going to be a tremendous loss for the Giants, losing one of their top leaders on the defensive side of the ball. And I also think there's a lot to be said about Julian Love's ability to play in multiple positions, move around the defense, and really fill a lot of roles for Wink Martindale and pretty much every defensive coordinator that Julian Love has had, because he's been moving around and playing a versatile role for many years. So I think that a lot of fans are overlooking this move. Now, listen, I think the Giants made a lot of great moves this offseason. Bobby Okereke on defense, of course, Darren Waller on offense, and a whole lot of other players. I like what they've done so far, but letting Julian Love go might just come back to haunt them a little bit, because I think he was a very good veteran, established starter in the NFL, and he played a lot of strong safety, played a lot of free safety. He could really move around, and he and Xavier McKinney were a great tandem. They had some great chemistry, and so I really liked what they had there, but letting Julian Love go, especially at the affordable price tag that he signed at, I do think that it was the wrong decision. However, the New York Giants seem to feel really confident in a lot of the young defensive backs that they have on their roster, including Dane Belton. Plus, they've also set themselves up for a really solid 2023 NFL draft, because the Giants right now have 10 picks overall in the upcoming draft. And since they did so well in free agency, they're in a position to go best player available with the 25th overall pick and pretty much every pick. They don't necessarily need to draft for need. They can go into the draft and just take the best players. And at some point during the draft, you might be able to find a safety as the best player on the board. Or if you want to reach a little bit draft to need, safety now is kind of a need for the Giants, in my opinion. I think that they really need to find a way to fill that hole alongside Xavier McKinney. I think Xavier McKinney is going to step into the free safety role. If you take a look at his stats from this past season and his snaps by position, the Giants had him play the majority of his snaps as a free safety. Now, when Xavier McKinney was drafted coming out of Alabama, he played a lot in the slot and he played a lot as a box strong safety. But the Giants have really been leaning into his skill set as one of those single high free safeties, that ball hawk on the back end of the defense. And so he's played a lot of free safety with the Giants this past season. 373 of his 681 total snaps were at free safety. Only 163 of them were in the box slash as a strong safety, according to Pro Football Focus. So when you're looking at Xavier McKinney and you're looking ahead to this upcoming season, the Giants, yes, they could find a guy who's a strong safety and move, or who is a free safety and move Xavier McKinney back to strong safety, but I think they're going to be targeting strong safeties in this draft. And there are a few names at the safety position that I really do like. So, like I said, we're going to go ahead and dive into a few of them. But before we do, please make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode. It helps the channel out a lot. And subscribe to Fireside Giants, the channel right here, if you are new, and ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. We're going to be doing a brief preview on a few of these safeties, but we're going to be diving deeper into all of them as we really crank up the content here heading towards the 2023 NFL Draft at the end of April. So again, stay tuned. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. But here's the first player that I want to talk about, and it's somebody who has a lot of familiarity with Xavier McKinney. It's Jordan Battle, safety out of Alabama. I'll read you a few quotes that Jordan Battle said at the Combine discussing Xavier McKinney, a former teammate of his. He said, quote, "Another one of those great mentors. A lot of people don't know Xavier McKinney. He was still in the dorms when I got there, so I don't think he ever moved out of the dorms. So that was great. I always remembered he had a husky. He helped me understand the playbook faster." End quote. So I love that. I like to hear, stories about Xavier McKinney. We know that he is a great leader. And I know I was talking about obviously losing some leadership with Julian Love. We are lucky that the Giants had two really good leaders and really good players on this at the safety position this past season. Xavier McKinney will continue to lead the defense. I assume that he'll have a captain's patch this upcoming season and take that role that Julian Love is leaving behind. Another quote here: "Yeah, it would be great. Me and X still talk to this day. He's always on the game. I'm a big gamer guy too, so that would be a great link up." End quote. And that was Jordan Battle referring to the idea of playing for the New York Giants alongside Xavier McKinney. And Jordan Battle is really excited by the idea. He would like to see it happen. And you know what? I would too. Jordan Battle right now has a draft projection somewhere in day 2, whether that be late second round, somewhere in round 3. But I think that wherever the Giants are, if they do find Jordan Battle on their board as one of the best players, he should be a top target for the New York Giants. Taking a look at Jordan Battle, again, day 2 guy that I think makes a lot of sense for New York. He did fare well at the Combine. He ran a 4.55 40-yard dash, which isn't the best, but at his height and size, it is pretty good. He's 6'1", 210, and I think that he could fit a strong safety role really well. He had a 1.56 10-yard split, and he also put up 17 bench reps. So he's a powerful player. He's got some explosion, some pretty good acceleration. Again, long distance speed, maybe not the best, but that's what you have Xavier McKinney there for. And also, game speed is definitely different than combine speed, guys. I think that's a big thing to keep in mind because Xavier McKinney also ran around the 4.55. So Xavier McKinney obviously having enough speed to go sideline to sideline, be the single high safety that he was in the Giants defense this past season. I think that when you look at McKinney and his ability to get to the sideline, Jordan Battle also has that ability. Actually, if you turn on the tape and you look at some of his clips, look at some of his film, he has made a lot of really spectacular interceptions playing that single high safety role. So he can fill that role if, Xavier McKinney's injured or they want to rotate him into the slot, whatever the case might be. I like Jordan Battle. I think that he's pretty versatile, but he is primarily a versatile defensive back, yes, but he's really primarily a strong safety who can kind of fit into any scheme, any role. I'll read you some of his top strengths and top weaknesses according to the Draft Network. Versatile defensive back, high IQ player, fluid movement skills, physicality as a tackler. Those are the top reasons to buy in according to TDN. Top reasons for concern, though, is consistency as a tackler and man-to-man coverage. Now, I think that if the New York Giants are going to be playing him in that safety role, not trying to move Jordan Battle around the whole lot, I think he could make sense just playing that deep half as a strong safety, maybe getting into the box and playing a little bit of zone. There's probably ways that they can mask his man-to-man coverage deficiencies, but his consistency as a tackler is one that I'm not sure I necessarily agree with. When I watch Jordan Battle, I think that he's a hard hitter. I think he's very good at filling rushing lanes. He's got really good vision as well. So I like what Jordan Battle brings to the table in both pass coverage and run defense. I'll throw out some PFF stats for you. He had an 11.8 missed tackle rate, which is actually a very high mark for Pro Football Focus. They have him with an elite grade on the missed tackle rate. So 11.8 percentage, not too bad there. He also did have an 85.2 coverage grade, which is one of the highest in this year's draft class. He allowed only one touchdown this past season, 17 receptions on only 22 targets. He had 5 run stops, and he only allowed a passer rating of 87.9, which is pretty good. But primarily, most of his snaps this past season were played as a deep safety rather than a box strong safety. However, when you look at his skill set and really what he brings to the table here, I think that Jordan Battle actually will fit better in that strong safety role opposite of Xavier McKinney playing that free safety role. I really like the fact that this is a player that I think could be a day one starter, to be completely honest. I think he could be a day one starter, but found on day two of the draft. So the Giants don't necessarily need to go into round one, draft this as Julian Love replacement, get that safety next to Xavier McKinney. Battle is a guy who, first of all, has a connection to McKinney. Their chemistry is going to be good right off the bat. They're friends. So, of course, there's going to be a mentorship program there already built in. It's just that the Giants are like the best situation possible for Jordan Battle. And they also have some depth around here with guys like Dane Belton who can fill in until Jordan Battle is ready if he does have some rookie growing pains. So, again, Jordan Battle, a player who I really like for the New York Giants. I'd like to see him in their defense. And I do think he should be one of their top day 2 targets going into this year's drafts. But let's talk about another guy. I just said I don't think the Giants need to go with a safety in round 1. But what if they did? Okay, so let's talk about the top safety on the draft board according to the Draft Network. It's Brian Branch out of Alabama. This is a guy who's definitely going to be getting some round 1 looks, but probably back end of the round 1. We're talking about right where the New York Giants are picking with the 25th overall pick. That could be a spot for Brian Branch, another Alabama safety like Jordan Battle, but the higher ranked one in this year's draft class. He is an elite run defender. He doesn't miss tackles. He had only 3 missed tackles, 74 tackles on the season, so a 3.3% missed tackle rate, very, very low. He's a very, very good player who has the ability to really get into the box a lot. And so I like Brian Branch in that role. But if you look at what the Draft Network has to say, and I'll read you again his top strengths and his top weaknesses here, they really do see him as more of a strong safety, box run defender. And they also say that they think he might have to play more in the slot. So making him kind of a nickel safety, really keeping him in the box, you might want to look at him and say that that's kind of a limited skill set. And to be completely honest with Brian Branch, because I think that when you look at him, versatile defender, high level run defender, high football IQ, but again, man coverage struggles. Alabama safeties just kind of have those struggles, which is interesting because when Xavier McKinney was coming out of college, he had amazing man coverage, but both of these Alabama safeties that we're looking at right now have struggles in man coverage. But when you're looking at what Brian Branch brings to a team, I like his physicality, his ability to lay the hit, get into the box, make some run stops. That's really what you're getting out of a player like this. So if the Giants really are set on returning Xavier McKinney to the center of the field, making him that free safety in this cover three man coverage scheme that Wink Martindale loves to run, you're talking about dropping the second safety into the box. And that's going to be a guy like Brian Branch who can really play a lot of that nickel hybrid linebacker role and get into that slot and just do a lot of great things from that position. So that's where I really like Brian Branch, and I get really on board with him. 6 foot, 193 pounds. He was all right at the combine. He didn't blow anybody away. He ran a 4.58 in the 40-yard dash. That's enough speed to get by in the box, be that slot cornerback slash hybrid linebacker. I think that's perfect. And this is a guy with a lot of physicality, and I could see him in that next level, just playing really well in the box for the New York Giants, being that tight end eater who could kind of just take that position away for you. I know we have Bobby Okereke now, and he's a pretty good coverage linebacker, but when you're looking at what Brian Branch could do for your defense, if you were to drop him into the box, he could just take away a tight end in any given game. So I like what he brings to the table, but again, this is a player that the Giants would likely have to go with in round one. I don't know if he'll make it all the way to them. There's some draft boards that have him going in the 30s. There's some that have him in the top 15 just because of the position. Him being the best prospect at the position might pull him up the draft board, make him go in the top 15, but we'll see. Again, both of these Alabama safeties, though, you know that there's that connection there with Xavier McKinney, a former Alabama product. I think that either one of these guys you really can't go wrong with. However, New York Giants not likely to go safety in round one, probably in round two or three. And there's another round two guy, not an Alabama guy this time though, Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. This is the number 3 ranked prospect at the safety position on the Draft Network's draft board. He's higher up on PFF's draft board though. He's the number 2 ranked. This is a big physical guy, 6'3", 195 pounds. And I will say, though, he didn't have the best combine. Actually, his numbers all across the board were pretty bad. His 4.52 40-yard dash is actually the fastest of the 3 that we've said, and that's fine. It's a good speed, but 31-inch vertical, not the best. 9'10" broad jump, also not very good. And only 8 bench reps for a 6'3", 195-pound player who's looking to get into the first round. Probably not a good enough number. Now, this is, again, a player who is very physical, going to be a run defender, and when you're taking a look at where he might play in the NFL, this is, again, another one of those box slash slot hybrid safety linebacker players, just like Brian Branch is. And his playing style, I mean, this is a guy who's going to make an impact, beating blockers to the spot, plugging holes in run defense. That's what Antonio Johnson can do for you. And I do think that's the player that the Giants need. Like, that's the type of player that they need at that safety position. I like Xavier McKinney as that deep safety. He can play in the center of the field, get sideline to sideline, be that ball hawk. What the Giants need from their safety position, and I don't think Julian Love provided this enough, is a box guy, someone who can get into the box, play linebacker, and kind of cover some slot receivers and some tight ends into those flat routes, but primarily just be an enforcer in the run defense. When you're rolling out there in a dime package or a nickel package, you've got extra defensive backs on the field. Julian Love isn't really the guy who's going to go in there and stuff the run like that. But a guy like Antonio Johnson, 6'3", 195 pounds, has all of that hitting power and that tackling ability in the middle of the field. That is a perfect fit for what the Giants need from their next safety. So I could see an avenue where, again, I think his combine is going to drop Antonio Johnson out of the first round. If he does fall deep enough in the round 2 for the New York Giants to take him, it does make a lot of sense for them. One thing that I will say, he had a pretty high 15.5% missed tackle rate. He missed 13 tackles. He had 55 total tackles on the season. Good player, has some things to shore up in terms of consistency. Was not the best in coverage this past season, though. He allowed 20 receptions on 29 total targets, had 11 coverage stops, but had a 0.0% forced incompletion rate, according to Pro Football Focus. Did not force a single incompletion. So all 9 of those targets that fell incomplete were not because of him and what he did. It was because of inaccurate throws or drops. So not forcing a lot of incompletions. However, they did give him a decent coverage grade of 79.7 overall. So how bad could he have been? I don't know. But again, that's Pro Football Focus for you. Sometimes they don't make a lot of sense. That's why I'm going to turn to the Draft Network right now. I'll give you their top reasons to buy in: size and versatility, processing skills, physicality, and tackling ability. Top reasons for concerns, though: high hips lead to challenges when transitioning and breaking down. Ball skills, does he have a true position? And I think that is a valid question for a player like this, who is 6'3", 195 pounds. I mean, a guy like that reminds you of Isaiah Simmons coming out a few years ago. We talked about him being an amazing linebacker prospect. Well, he's played a lot of safety in the NFL, and those hybrid players, sometimes it takes them a few years to catch on. So when you're looking at a guy like Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M, and you're saying, wow, we really need a box safety. Yeah, I think that's where he's going to play. He has the ability to cover, tackle, play the run, all that stuff, but he's not the best in coverage, so you're really not going to drop him in deep very often. And with Wink Martindale's defense, he likes that secondary to be very positionless. So a guy like Antonio Johnson not having a true defined position might actually benefit Wink Martindale and might give him the opportunity to just move this guy around as a little chess piece. Physicality, good tackling abilities. Really, all three of these safeties that I just went over in this video, they all make sense for the New York Giants in one way or another. Again, I love the Alabama connections with Jordan Battle in particular. I like that he already is close friends with Xavier McKinney, gives him that chemistry and allows Xavier McKinney to play as that free safety role. But all three of these guys that we mentioned really are strong safeties. I don't see any of these guys entering the NFL and being a free safety, which I do think is a good thing for McKinney, who is the Giants' free safety. And that is clearly the role that the Giants want him to begin playing more often. I know in his rookie season, he did play a lot in the box. They like to move him around. He was playing a lot in the slot as well. But now the Giants are really trying to keep him deep, keep him as a deep safety in the middle of the field. That's where Xavier McKinney is right now. That's where he belongs. So I think that it should be a main mission for the New York Giants in this draft within the first 3 rounds, probably to find the safety, whether it be Brian Branch early, Jordan Battle in the middle, or Antonio Johnson even later on. I think all three of these guys can play in that box role, play in the slot, that hybrid linebacker role. That's exactly what the New York Giants need. So you can't go wrong with either three of these guys. However, if I had to give you my pick right here, I want to see Jordan Battle reunite with Xavier McKinney. That would be super fun. And I think that those two would just have so much chemistry together and would create a really fine safety tandem for the New York Giants. But I want to hear your thoughts on these three players down below in the comment section. How do you think that the New York Giants should replace Julian Love? Do you think they should go to the draft? Are there any free agents out there that you want to see me discuss on the channel? Comment it all down below. Let me know what you think. And make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode and subscribe to the channel if you are new and ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. But I will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one and let's go Giants.